Hello, last time we spoke with tenants, we discussed the inventory and condition form. Today we're going to discuss the next steps and what comes after you initially move into a property.
Hey everybody, I'm Pete Candelario.
And hello, I'm Jason Bridgeman.
And today we're talking to tenants again. Today we're going to be talking about maintenance items. Maintenance that comes up. Sometimes you'll find them when you're doing your inventory and condition form, or you're just going to find them as you're living in the property. So we're going to talk about how to put in some maintenance on our side and what responsibilities tenants have when it comes to maintenance.
Just some general expectations, because a lot of times we do have tenants that move in, and during, like you said, Pete, during that inventory condition form, they come across things that are potentially broken, not operating correctly, and we as property managers, we do walk the property, we inspect the properties, we look at them several times, vendors look at them several times, but it's
things break.
Well, it's kind of like a rental car. You have about 90 seconds when you go get your rental car and you pick it up to walk around the rental car and sign off on it and say, right, yes, I agree. The same thing with a home, right? We do respect and understand that you're probably shown the property once by an agent that represented you. You may or may not know that agent. Then you may get a second chance to look at it. A lot of times tenants don't get a second chance to look at it. Just as they've not had an opportunity to live in the property, neither have we.
Right, as the property managers.
As the property managers, they're not there.
Yeah, and sometimes you won't even notice some of those things until you're actually living in the property, right?
Well, it's nothing is, you're not going to understand and have a full understanding of that property until you're in there and you get to twist and turn.
Start using stuff.
Flush toilets on a repeated basis, use showers. Again, we're not taking showers in properties. We're not washing laundry and doing laundry in properties. So until you're actually living there, you're not going to come across some of those things that potentially are not working properly or don't work the way that you thought they would work.
Right. So as far as the tenants, when they do find these maintenance items, first of all, they need to submit it in writing, right? And that's in any property management company or any
the majority of leases, the majority of a lease that you'll see, and not to say that that's across the spectrum, but majority of leases you're going to see that it says that maintenance request needs to be submitted in writing.
Right. And for us, we have the tenant portal, so we use the tenant portal. We ask them to submit the maintenance request in the tenant portal. Once we get the maintenance request, then our maintenance coordinator schedules that, or the property manager schedules that with the vendor, and then a vendor contacts the tenants directly. Sometimes there's a problem there in trying to schedule those maintenance with the
tenant,
right?
And with the vendor, because you have multiple different avenues or multiple different organizations trying to get that coordinated. Tenants have work schedules and life schedules, and vendors, we're getting, I think what we showed last month, 172 work orders.
Yes.
172 work orders in 1 month. We have a great vendor pool, but we have to understand also that can become difficult and it can become challenging to find a schedule that works for everyone. But with having a maintenance coordination in-house, that's how we try to rectify and try to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. But I think it's also key to understand that everything's not going to be perfect in a rental property. Everything's not going to function perfectly in a rental property. There's going to be things that don't work and don't function like a brand new property, unless you have the luxury of moving into one of our properties that were bought brand new. So
right.
There's going to be challenges with living in a rental property. I know living in the home that I own, there's things that still don't work right and still don't operate properly. But our goal is to get them working as best we can and get them working and functioning up to the owner standards. And again, we can only repair things that we're authorized to repair.
And that's the biggest thing, right? It's depending on what the maintenance is, it has to be approved by the owner, right? Unless it's something that affects the health and safety of the individuals that are
Right.
living in the property. Little things like an ice maker not working properly. Those are things that, yes, it'd be nice if those were repaired, but it's really up to the owner if they want to spend the money to actually repair items like that, right?
Well, because we see that a lot of times to where there are misunderstandings as you're not coming to fix my item, or you're not repairing it within a timely manner, or this needs to operate. But a lot of times it's not understood that those decisions are not at our level. There's a lot of times when those decisions where it's not a safety or not a health item, that it's not at our level or any property manager's level to just go fix it and repair it. Everything that we do, we're a fiduciary or a mediator for that owner. So if an owner says, no, I don't want that repaired, or no, I don't want that fixed right now, I don't have the money right now,
Or I can't.
I'll fix it at a later time, but I don't have those funds, then it does put us in a little bit of a precarious situation, because we again have to deliver that message back to a tenant and say, unfortunately, the owner has chosen not to fix that item at this time. And
It
that
always
is-
comes down to normally.
Well,
I won't say always, but normally it comes down to money, the money situation, right?
Well, it's with the rental properties that we own. There's unexpected things that happen in our life, and there's unexpected things that happens in owner's life, just across the board. That it's July 1st, and the AC goes out on your rental property, and you have a rental home in San Antonio, and you're living in Seattle, and your AC goes out. And next thing you know, you've got $6,000 to $8,000 coming out of your pocket. Again, that's an associated risk with owning a rental property, but I don't believe that there's many owners out there that intentionally don't want to get things fixed. It is. Sometimes it can be financially tasking for owners when those unexpected things pop up. But again, our goal is to get them fixed as quickly as possible, as professionally as possible, and knowing that we want the maintenance request that comes in, we want the things to be taken care of, we want them to be addressed, but a lot of times those things do fall out of our control. And again, that's why we're there to coordinate those points, from it being submitted in writing through the tenant portal, getting the vendor out there, making sure the vendor does what they're supposed to do. And if the tenants aren't getting calls from vendors, or they're not getting those appointments scheduled, then by all means reach out to us and say, hey, look, this is the problem I'm having with the vendor. These are the things that are not happening with the vendor. We want to know about that, so then we can improve that process and make it better for everybody.
Right. And it does stipulate in the lease that the tenants are supposed to let the vendors or the maintenance individuals into the
Right.
property, because we don't provide keys to any of our vendors for safety reasons, obviously.
Right.
But sometimes, depending on the vendor that's scheduled to go out to those properties, they may not do after hours, and some tenants would like after hour repairs. That way they don't have to miss work, and we understand that. And if it comes to that, at least for us, you can contact our company, or contact our maintenance coordinator, and they can see if they can schedule it with somebody else that will help you with more of an after hours kind of thing. But we can't expect vendors to be working late nights or late
Right.
weekends either, because they, unfortunately, our vendors are independent contractors themselves. They own their own businesses, so it's not like we can control their schedule. And lots of times tenants think that, and they actually contact us trying to schedule stuff through us.
Well, the thing that needs to be understood is, yes, it does stipulate it in the lease, but most importantly, if something breaks at your home, something's not functioning at your home, yours, mine, anyone's home, you're going to need to be there to let people in. Unfortunately, you're going to take some time off work, and you're going to need to be there to get those things repaired. Sometimes folks have an understanding of, oh, well, I'm renting a property, you need to take care of that, which is actually not the case. If If something breaks at the property, something's not functioning properly at the property, and it needs to be repaired, then the tenant needs to let those folks in. And again, we're just not going to let individuals into properties
Right.
unsupervised.
And I like the way you said that. Basically, there is a difference between renting a single residential home than there is renting an apartment complex, right? Because an apartment complex, they do have maintenance
folks.
individuals staffed, and they have keys to the property, and they can actually enter the properties when there's a maintenance request, as long as y'all authorize them, the tenants authorize them to enter. But it's not like that in the single family home side, and we'll cover that in a later podcast as far as the difference between renting an apartment and renting a single family home.
Right, and I think it's just important to kind of recap a little bit before we end this. We don't want to go too long, of course, but important to know that we need and want the maintenance request to come in for things that legitimately need to be fixed. We want to protect owners' investments. We want tenants to live in a property that is enjoyable and it has things that function. So if there's things out there, let us know about that through the portal. And if by any means people's having difficulty with those, we need to know about them. We need to get feedback and saying this is not working properly, because we understand that every process can continually be improved. And that's our goal, is to make everything as easy as possible, understanding that sometimes we fall short of that, and we're not going to, it's not going to get perfect every time. We're not going to have a perfect process, but we want to improve it as best we can.
Yeah. So we're going to be cutting this one short because Jason and I have a little trip that we need to go to. But we are going to discuss this some more on maintenance, more on the responsibilities of the tenants and responsibilities of the owners, and things you can and cannot do in the property as far as maintenance goes, and things that you can actually do to the property to make your stay or make it a home, basically. So we'll discuss that in later podcasts. But once again, we're just going to cut this one short. As always, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram. Like this, comment, let us know what you think, and I guess we'll be talking to you next week.
All right,
closing comments?
No, you have a good weekend.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
Bye.